So, Governor, I wanted to ask you if in Colorado you're considering any changes to state laws in reaction to what happened in Florida, the tragedy in Florida.
No, of course, and we were already working on. I mean, we've got universal background checks. We've got high-capacity magazine limitations. We did all that stuff in 2014. So we're looking at trying to make sure that people that are having psychological episodes, for lack of a better word, that they can be restrained and maybe up to 72 hours, kept away from their guns long term. What does that mean if someone's got violent tendencies, or I mean, how do you define that? Trying to work on that. Bump stocks, I'd like to get. I think bump stocks already are illegal, but evidently that's being debated. But we'd love to, end any question about that as well.
And what about the age in terms of buying firearms
right.
at 21?
Of course, yeah, 21 for assault weapons. That's
You think that makes sense?
it makes a lot of sense.
And what about the president's focus now on teachers being able to carry in the classroom, arming a certain amount of teachers? What do you think of that proposal? Is it a good idea?
Well, I'm not sure. When I ran for mayor of Denver in 2003, and I surprised everyone and got elected, I made the promise that if I got elected, I'd visit every public school in my first 4 years. Nobody told me there were 161 public schools. So I spent, 2 hours with every school. So, somewhere north of 500 hours in all the public schools in Denver. I probably talked to 1,000 teachers. And this was not too long after Columbine happened in 1999. And we discussed those kinds of questions all the time. I can count on one hand the number of people that wanted to be trained and wanted to be carrying handguns or weapons in their schools. So, I think if there's a large number of people that want to take the training and make sure that they are fully equipped to do this, anything we can do to make our schools safer, I think we should look at. But I don't think most teachers are going to want anything to do with that.
Now, you mentioned the background checks, universal background checks.
Yeah.
In your state, could what happened in Florida occur in your state when you have the state was involved? This guy was on the state's radar, the shooter. The local authorities knew about him. Repeat trips to his house. Could that have happened in Colorado, or do you have mechanisms in place that would have triggered some sort of warning or red flag and prevented it?
You always want to think that nothing could happen in your state, and we're more and more we're trying to make sure that dangerous people don't get handguns. Don't get assault weapons or handguns. When we went to universal background checks in the previous year that we had data for, 38 people convicted of homicide had tried to buy a gun, and we stopped them. There were 1,300 people who had been guilty of felony assault, usually where someone goes to the hospital. They tried to buy a gun, and we stopped them. Now, I think a legitimate question is, those people that are psychologically or in terms of violence on the edge, they've exhibited a tendency towards violence, but they haven't broken any laws. And that's something that we as a society have to begin to address.